Death on the Nile, Ending Explained. Death on the Nile is now available on Disney Plus in the United Kingdom and on Hulu in the United States. But with so many twists and turns, you might feel a little lost.
That one should go on home.
I'm not in sympathy with her, huh?
There will be huge spoilers from the start as we investigate who was killed, why they were killed, and who did it. So if you haven't seen the show yet, watch at your own risk. Let's get right into it. Who's the killer? First and foremost, the unlucky victim is Lynette Ridgway Doyle, a newly married woman who was killed on her honeymoon trip with a gunshot wound to the head. She previously went to Poirot for help with Jacqueline de Belfort, Lynette's current husband and Simone Doyle's ex-fiancée, who had followed the two all the way to Egypt. Jacqueline had even boarded their cruise ship, which was full of other people who might otherwise have killed Lynette. The day before her murder, Lynette narrowly missed being crushed by a falling boulder when visiting Abu Simbel. Lynette accused Jacqueline of attempting to murder her, and Simon supported her claims. Later apparently getting shot in the leg. More on that later. Meanwhile, Poirot does his Poirot thing, and it appears that anybody may have killed Lynette. But once a pistol is retrieved from the ocean floor, wrapped in Marie's scarf, all the fingers point to Lynette's godmother, Marie Van Schuiler. But why? It's because when Lynette's jewelry is discovered in Euphemia's chamber, another plausible suspect emerges. Both Marie and Euphemia maintained their innocence, and it's later revealed that Euphemia is the one who sent Poirot on the boat to look into Book's lover. However, when Louise is found dead, all of this is quickly forgotten. Poirot believes it's because she spotted who killed Lynette while out for a smoke the night she was murdered. Louise attempted to blackmail the killer but had her neck slashed. Could Book have killed Lynette? Poirot's focus shifts to his buddy Book, who he discovers was the one who stole Lynette's jewelry in order to obtain the finances necessary to live a comfortable life with Rosalie. He grabbed it right after discovering Lynette's murder, and when he attempted to return it, he found out who had killed Louise.
Raised to drink from the golden goblet of life.
Unfortunately, Book gets tragically shot before he can tell Poirot who the killer is. Poirot is then led to the perpetrator by Book's death, and after putting everyone in a room, he questions Lynette's lawyer, Andrew, because Andrew had attempted to murder her with a falling boulder. Why would Andrew try to kill Lynette? Lynette's cousin Andrew attempted to assassinate Lynette using an impulsive heat-of-the-moment move. However, he argued later, under Poirot's investigation, that since he knew Lynette would figure out he was embezzling money from her if she looked over the contract, he was attempting to get her to sign it after she got home to London. Rather than risk being identified as a cousin's thief, he pretended to have gone insane and attempted to murder her. It's strange that Poirot accepted this justification and accepted Andrew's secret. Even if he claims to have afterwards regretted it, it was still an attempted murder. In our books, both of them are to blame. Could it have been Simon? It was Simon, not Andrew, who was responsible for Lynette's death. But how? Considering that she was knocked out by a shot to the leg the night of the murder, the answer is simple. It was all staged with red paint, and Jacqueline chose to ignore it. Think about it. It makes sense, doesn't it? While everyone else ran for help, he could have gone to Lynette's bedroom and murdered her before returning and shooting himself. Simon's strategy could have been to pack the wedding party with people who had grudges against Lynette, and he could have poisoned Poirot with a glass of champagne to guarantee he was out of business. What about Louise and Book? Simon may have killed Lynette, but it was Jacqueline, not Simon, who murdered Louise and Book. Poirot describes him as his lover once, his lover still.
Think about giving us another go, sir.
You are much too kind to strangers.
Simon had originally married Lynette to gain access to her fortune, and anytime anybody came close to discovering he murdered her, it was Jacqueline who cleaned up his mess by murdering the witnesses. With the boat still hours away from docking, Jacqueline made the decision to not be separated from Simon in prison. She drew her revolver and chose to shoot Simon in the back while they were cuddling, killing both of them with a single bullet. We're confused if that's romantic or just plain cruel. Why did the other victims die? Lynette was, of course, only one body on this not-so-romantic honeymoon. The instigating death followed by the deaths of Louise Bourget and poor beloved Book. Simon, as Poirot describes, couldn't have been the murderer because he himself wasn't in the right state of mind because of that self-inflicted wound we talked about earlier. If that theory is true, then Poirot was very easily fooled. But what about Jacqueline? Louise told Poirot and Simon that if she smoked her cigarette outside her cabin, she may have spotted the killer. This was her way of implying that she saw Simon murder his wife at the cabin and knew about his secret. She was totally planning to blackmail him for money. It's clear, isn't it? But we'll never really know how much money Jackie made since she took the doctor's knife and slashed Louise from ear to ear. Ouch. Like her, Book also witnessed the murder, but he couldn't tell anybody that he saw Jackie with the knife without incriminating himself because he was trying to hide his own crime of stealing Lynette's jewelry to pay his debts. Poirot eventually persuaded his old friends to confess his guilt and divulge the identity of the perpetrator, but with Simon Doyle present. Therefore, it looks as if Simon is asking Book to reveal who he witnessed killing Louise, but at the same time, he's trying to tell Jackie to shoot Book in the throat. Why does everything end with a mustache? In reality, Branagh wants to give his mentally Herculean protagonist more depth and heartbreaking insight. The explanation for this can be traced back to the movie's opening and the overall themes that run throughout its adaptation. Poirot's life narrative begins in the opening sequence, with the future detective serving in the Belgian army during World War I. He's severely hurt by an explosion there, and his face above the lip line is irreparably deformed. His fiancée, Catherine, however, seems unconcerned about the scars and proposes that he simply grow a mustache. As far as we know, this narrative was all made up for the film, although Christie experts are welcome to tell us if we're wrong. Because in the novels, a considerably older Poirot appears, who spent the war as a refugee in Britain and was already a police investigator when the conflict began. However, the film claims that he became a renowned investigator by 1937, equipped with a mustache as a result of his fiancée's tragic push to reinvent himself, and, as we discover later, her death. Book states in his dying words before getting shot in the neck, "You could never understand what people would do for love." He was praising his buddy for helping him realize his mistake and returning a necklace, as well as accusing him of being locked inside his cold mind. What was the purpose of Branagh's adaptation? Despite everything that happened, the main idea is that everyone acts irrationally for love. Jackie planned the murder of her best friend, who she seemed to like to a point, in order to satisfy the greed of the man she loved. Jackie's deception of stalking Simon and Lynette may have been believed, but it also spoke to love's obsession, and Book became a criminal so he could be with Rosalie, debt-free. Because he lost his great love 20 years ago and has since hidden behind her advised mustache as if it were an armored mask, Poirot became the man we see today, this lonely genius. Salome and her daughter both noticed this, with Salome guessing that it was the woman who made him so bitter towards mankind. Meanwhile, Rosalie claims that he deserves to be alone since he's so wicked. And later, when Book is dead, she claims that she wants him to be miserable because it would make him a better detective, the sort who would solve Book's crime. Everything in the movie revolves around the insane things we do for love, even if we're looking at the world's most sensible guy. So by the time Poirot arrives at the nightclub at the end, he's ditched the mustache that had served as his disguise, and he's ready to be recognized as a person once more. He's eager to be someone who understands love once more, and he plans to start with Salome. We're quite sure this isn't Agatha Christie's Poirot anymore, but since this is likely to be Branagh's final portrayal of the character, at least he goes out on a high note. For now, this is all we know about the ending of Death on the Nile. But if we find out anything else, we'll be sure to make a new upload. If you want to be updated with Death on the Nile news, like and subscribe to see more frequent updates like this. And if you want to learn more about other movies, check out some of our other videos. Let us know if you think our theory about Simon could be true in the comments section below.